more finals talk. JP's bread and butter.
Yeah.
What he's always most excited for.
I can't wait.
I'm gonna go give my take on game one. What
Ooh,
I think
can I
is
go
gonna
first?
happen. You can go first. Sure.
Okay, it's not a take on game one.
Okay.
I love the finals.
Mm-hmm.
I love the NBA finals. It is up there with the Super Bowl in terms of like importance in my life from a sport perspective.
Yeah.
Which from a sport perspective is still pretty high on the list from even a total life perspective.
Yeah.
The NBA finals, basketball is my favorite sport, so that's the biggest event you can get. I always watched it with my dad and my family. Always big takes during the games and everything. Me and my dad, we loved watching elite basketball, which is usually what is played once you get to the NBA finals.
Sure.
People can talk about the product outside of the NBA finals, but I think the finals is as pure as it gets. I was in Boy Scouts, and so we always went to summer camp one of the weeks of the NBA finals.
That's brutal.
It sucked. It absolutely sucked. I would fight tooth and nail. As soon as I got to the camp, I would be asking everybody, where can I get Wi-Fi? Can I borrow your phone to watch game 2? Can I borrow your phone to watch game 3? And like specifically the 2019 NBA finals, I'm at camp. Game 1 and game 2. Game 1, game 2, game 3 have been played. Game 4 is played the first night I'm there. I miss it. And then game 5 is going to be played. And I know Katie's coming back to play game 5. Warriors down 3-1 to the Raptors. And I didn't get to watch that game either. So I learned about him popping his Achilles the next morning.
No.
And I convinced one of my instructors to let me watch the highlights from House of Highlights on YouTube.
Shout out House of Highlights.
And yeah, so I watch. I mean, Durant is cooking in that first quarter. I believe he had 13 points, pops his Achilles. The Warriors pull it out, a gritty one. And I take my phone and I record the House of Highlights so I can go back and watch them again later just to process the entire game. I was able to pull off Wi-Fi and watch Game 6, and unfortunately the Warriors lose the Raptors.
Shorthanded.
Yeah, and I watched Clay tear his ACL. But yeah, the finals are it's like the Super Bowl to me.
Yeah.
It means so much, and I can't wait. Unfortunately, it's going to be terrible from a product perspective, from a presentation perspective, because we have Richard Jefferson and Doris Burke calling the NBA Finals.
Did you see what I sent in yapping? That you maybe
not specifically.
There's talk that Doris Burke may not return next year to ESPN.
Rightfully
so. What I
so.
said is looks like ESPN agrees with us.
She's been atrocious, yeah.
Which is strange because I have typically enjoyed Doris Burke, but I don't know what it's been about this postseason. She's just not kind of at her same edge that she normally does. So it just may be time for her to kind of get moved off the primetime stuff.
Yeah. Since Van Gundy and Jackson have left, it has been rough.
Yeah.
They were excellent with Mike. I half wish just TNT could call the finals at this point.
Sure. Yeah, they definitely were the better crew throughout the playoffs, in my opinion.
But it's going to be electric. I can't wait for tomorrow night and the entire 2 weeks, hopefully, of NBA Finals games we have. You can go ahead with your
Okay.
now.
First, I want to ask how many. I think you said this, we maybe both said it Sunday. But how many games do you think this series goes?
Thunder in 5.
Okay, that's where I'm at. I think I said Thunder in 6 Sunday, but I think I'm down to Thunder in 5. In terms of game 1, how I think it's going to go down, I actually think the Pacers are going to play really, really well in game 1. They're going to come in with some energy and some fire into a tough environment, kind of a well-known elite playoff environment in Oklahoma City. I think they're going to come out hot. They're going to give it their best chance. They're going to play well. But OKC is still going to come away with the win, and that's kind of when what we already know is going to be amplified in that the Thunder are just really that good. That's not a knock on the Pacers. I just said they're going to play a great game. I think we're actually getting the two best teams in the playoffs in terms of how teams are playing right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the two best teams in the playoffs are making the finals. But yeah, I think it's just Indiana's going to throw a haymaker. OKC's going to absorb it. You're going to get a good Shea game. Oklahoma City's going to make stops when needed. The pace Indiana plays at, one, I think the Thunder can contain it pretty well. But especially when you get to crunch time, the pace doesn't really stay the same, especially. It's just going to naturally become a little slower. And so I think that combined with just the star power of OKC and their defense is going to let them pull out this win. I'm trying to think. I want to give like a big prediction. So I'll kick it to you and you can talk about game one and I'll.
Yeah, it's something kind of has to give, at least from both sides, really. The Thunder in their 3-game ones so far this postseason, I mean, they beat the doors off the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
They choke the fouling up 3 against the Nuggets, and then they dismantled the Timberwolves, especially in the second half. And for the Pacers side, the first 4 games of all 3 series have gone the same way. The Pacers won the 2 on the road, lost game 3 at home, won game 4. And in their first 2 series, they end up winning game 5. And this last one with the Knicks, they end up losing game 5 and win game 6. So it feels like something has to give. Like, both of these teams have played amazing in game 1. For the Pacers side, it's been on the road. So they're not, I don't think they're going to be, shaken up by the Thunder crowd, as electric as it is. Like, if you can play well in the Garden, I think you can play well at OKC.
Yeah.
And for the Thunder have like started off these series really controlling the pace and controlling these games. So it'll be very interesting to see how the teams respond, especially both coming off of big rest. The Thunder haven't played in, I believe, 9 days tomorrow, and then the Pacers haven't played in 6 days. So the rest, both teams will be well rested there. It'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. I'm really curious to see how this goes. What I said it in the other episode, I think what's going to be awesome about this series and what's going to keep everybody continuously tuning in is the fact that like the Pacers have made all of these unbelievable comebacks. Like, I even feel like, which is the only thing that kind of worries me about the Thunder in this series, is the Pacers don't have to play 48 minutes of perfect basketball, like I've been saying you have to play to beat the Thunder. They could play 42 minutes of okay basketball and then play 6 minutes of electric basketball and win the game.
That's what they
And
did.
that is going to be really exciting to see. I imagine they're going to do it in one game in the series because they have in every series. They've had an elite comeback in all 3 series. That's game 4 against the Bucks, in game 1 against the Cavs, and game 1 against the Knicks. So it's going to be very interesting to watch.
That's kind of why I wanted to say OKC in 6 instead of 5,
Sure.
is because I feel like the Pacers will get one. Well, we've talked about it so many times on this podcast, but maybe that game 3, if they're down 2-0, where they just come out, desperation game, and they kind of control it tip to tip. And then you maybe get a Pacers game in terms of they're down 10 with 4 or 5 minutes left, and they find a way to win the game, and that's how you get to OKC in 6. I didn't end up going that route, but it is definitely a worry. They can get hot. I love the confidence they're playing with right now. Another reason I agree that I don't actually know how much OKC's home court will kind of slow them down. I do think it'll help OKC, though, if that makes sense. Like, the Pacers won't be fazed by it, but OKC can still feed off that energy that the crowd gives them. So I was talking about trying to find like a prediction to give for game 1. I think I'm going to say Chet scores 25 plus in game 1. I'm a little worried about the matchups on the Pacer side for him. If you're going to try and put Miles Turner on him when he's in the game and there's no Hardenstein, your other option, I guess, is Pascal Siakam, who has played pretty good defense this playoffs, but there's definitely a bit of a a height disparity there, like there is with most people who guard Chet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see how the Pacers tackle him. I guess.
I think they're going to play Tony Bradley a ton.
Sure.
I think.
Didn't he get hurt though in the last game? Because that's why you got those Thomas Bryant minutes.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what the status is there, and that's also something else I wanted to bring up is Neesmith rolled his ankle, and it definitely hindered him.
Tony Bradley questionable for game 1.
And it definitely
more likely he plays.
You had Neesmith play obviously the rest of that series, but he definitely was hindered.
Mm-hmm.
You end up with Nimhard guarding Brunson more, which as well as Nimhard played actually guarded Brunson in Game 6. Neesmith is the better defender and the person that you would want on Shea. So I'm interested to see how his ankle's doing.
Yeah.
Come this series. I mean,
especially with the size. Nimhard he'll be 4 inches shorter than Shea.
Yeah.
And Shea, with how good in the mid range he is, height is usually the biggest factor in those shots.
Yeah, Neesmith is taller and he's just bigger too. He's got some more muscle to him. It's been 6 days, so I'm really hoping the ankle's healed up nicely so we can see that matchup. But yeah, I'm gonna say Chet 25 plus in game 1. I don't even know if what his highest scoring performance is this playoffs.
I believe he had 28, if I'm not mistaken.
So I'm basically predicting him to go for close to a playoff high in game 1.
Let me see if I can get it up.
Sure.
24 is
24. So okay,
in the Memphis series.
I'll amend my prediction to just Chet scores a playoff high in game 1.
Okay.
He gets going. The Pacers struggle to stop him, and I mean, obviously he's not scored 25 yet, but we have had multiple games where he's kind of taken over for stretches or just been like he gets his and no one can stop him. He just hasn't had high scoring outbursts because they have so many other scores. J-Dub and Shea are going to get their touches too. So
I've loved watching him because this is his 3rd season, but he's really only played 1.5 seasons from a games perspective. Because he misses his rookie year, he plays 82 last year, and then he misses basically 50 to 60 games this year.
Yeah, he's played a little over 100 career games,
and yet he has just been great down the stretch of games, both defensively. More importantly, defensively and offensively, he's hit some timely threes for the Thunder. I do think that's a bad matchup for the Pacers. I really only think Tony Bradley can match up with him defensively, and I think he's kind of a key for the Thunder scoring wise. I think he could get what he wanted on the Pacers side. If they're going to steal game 1, for one, X Factor Siakam has to play really well, in my opinion. But I also feel like for the Pacers, Benedict Mathurin is going to be key, especially coming off the bench. I think he's the one guy the Pacers have that, outside of Siakam, that it feels like he could be a bad matchup even for the elite defenders that OKC has, because he's so explosive, and he's so strong as well. Cason Wallace is not strong enough to stay with him. I don't think Lou Dort or Caruso are fast enough to stay with Benedict. And for his, for a lot of these guys, their first finals, but for him, his first real deep postseason experience, because he was hurt last season for the Pacers, it'll be interesting to see how he plays coming off the bench, because they're going to need that. They're going to have to still play really good basketball to stay with the Thunder step for step, and him coming off the bench and being productive will be huge for them.
Yeah, he's another kind of spark plug scorer they have. It's honestly interesting that he doesn't impact the game more consistently. He's so explosive, he's so athletic, and it feels like that would play perfectly into the style that Pacers want to play, but somehow it just hasn't completely gelled. But you still get these stretches where he's hot and he'll just go get his. So I agree. Negative X factor is Miles Turner.
Yeah.
Had some struggles in the Knicks series where he didn't necessarily play for stretches. I'm a little worried about his ability to hold up against the pressure OKC will bring. He loves the pick and pop, but also just working down low. Hardenstein, even if Caruso decides to get on him and, play that pesky defense where he's going to look to poke the ball away. I'm just interested to see how Miles Turner handles it. And if he doesn't play well, how the Pacers pivot out of that.
I really think the only way he can be productive is similar to how Julius Randle was productive in this last series, is just shooting well from 3.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing he's going to be able to get when he wants it. Because I mean, for in the playoffs, he is fourth on the team in rebounds per game
Yeah.
as the starting center. Like he just is not a productive.
He's not a
rebounder.
down low kind of guy. It's not how he wants to play in the first place. So
And so I think he's got to just shoot the three ball well to be a plus, and to be someone like they can rely on to play. Otherwise, I think like they're gonna play Obi Toppin a lot of those minutes because he can match the speed, and the energy that the Thunder play with. So Miles Turner he's just got to shoot the three ball well in this series for the Pacers to have a chance. For me to make like a prediction on Game 1, I think the Thunder continue with suit. I think they win this game by 20 plus. I really expect the crowd to just be unbelievable. I mean, this is
As
the
they
first
should be.
finals since 2012, and now that Oklahoma's out of the Women's College World Series, there's nothing left to cheer for but the Thunder.
Yeah.
So I think the crowd is just going to be ruckus and unbelievable, and I do think for Game 1 at least it's going to affect the Pacers.
Sure.
I don't expect Halliburton to play well in Game 1 with the way he finished out that New York series, and I expect the Thunder to overwhelm the Pacers, and take Game 1 at home.
We're talking about something has to give. Reminds me, you talked about the Pacers have won games 1 and 2, lost Game 3, and won Game 4.
In every series.
And I think the exact opposite is going to happen in this series, which is just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You'll get the classic OKC wins both at home, because it's just really, really hard to see OKC losing a game at home. But then Indiana's still the first one in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, because they're desperate.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd's still going to show up even though they're down 2-0, because why would they not? Their team's in the finals.
Yeah.
And then OKC kind of finishes them off from there. But I'm excited. Even if we both predicted to go to 5, so not necessarily a good series, but I still think we're going to get some good games out of this series and some games that are a ton of fun to watch. So I'm not necessarily down on the series as a whole, even though I expect it to only go 5.
I think we're guaranteed a blowout in one of these two with the Thunder at home.
Yeah.
But I think the other game's going to be close, and I really think both games on the road are going to be close because the Thunder have not been good on the road in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The two Grizzly games were very close. They only won one of the games in Denver, and they got blown out in Game 3 against Minnesota, and then Game 4 was really close, down to the wire. They ended up winning that game by 2. So I really expect like the Pacers to play well at home because the Thunder just don't play as well on the road, and I think that'll be kind of the key for the Pacers in this series is get home court advantage. Like you need to split one of these first two to really give yourself a chance going forward in the series, because if they were to win Game 1 or Game 2, it immediately puts all of the pressure on the Thunder for the rest of the series, because the Thunder have to go out and prove once again that they can play well on the road and steal one. Because that's really kind of how it's felt the entire postseason. I mean, you think about the big comeback against the Grizzlies that we watched here, and then you think about the fourth quarter where they just play electric in the fourth quarter against Denver, and then again in Game 4 against Minnesota. They've had to go out there and steal a game on the road, and if you can put again the pressure on this young team to have to prove themselves again, that is like the only leg up and advantage I see for the Pacers to actually have a chance to win this series, because otherwise I think they're outmatched. I think it's truly a big guy and slightly smaller guy. They're very similarly built and they play with very similar energy. One is electric defensively, the other electric offensively. I just think the Thunder are that good.
Yeah. I mean, the common thought process is you needed like a top 7 or 8 player in the NBA to win the finals, and the Pacers have overcome that by like a strength in numbers thing. Not that Halliburton is not fantastic, and he's close to that mark, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's a top 7 or 8 player. But the strength in numbers advantage doesn't exist against OKC, and then OKC also has a top 2 player in the world currently, so it's going to be a tough thing to overcome. I completely agree. But you get to watch electric defense and electric offense. So tune in. It should still be a blast. Anything else you want to add to wrap it up?
Yeah. Just rapid fire things. The Corgi, Air Corgi,
Oh yeah.
picked the Pacers in 6.
Oh yeah. Do we have a correct
He
percentage?
has not missed a playoff series this postseason.
I mean, Air Corey is that good, so that
Yeah,
surprised
which
me.
is
That's worrisome for the Thunder. Actually, that's the
extremely worrisome.
that's the biggest knock I've seen, or biggest worry for the Thunder so far is that.
The Pacers have not worn a uniform, their yellow uniform, like not worn their yellow uniform.
Yeah,
Since the regular season, the last game of the regular season. They've worn that city uniform and had the city court for 3 playoff games, or 4 playoff games. But other than that, they have only worn the yellow uniform.
crazy.
So I'll be interested to see if they wear a different color uniform for this postseason, or for the NBA Finals.
If they start losing, you gotta think they probably break something different out.
Yeah, and I really hope the Thunder don't break out their black uniforms as well. I hope they stick to the white and blue the entire series.
Sure.
But I'm excited. Thunder favored by 9 tomorrow night. It'll be an electric atmosphere. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And, yeah, I can't wait.